So today we will discuss the continuous probability distributions. Yeah.
Sir, I'm 2 minutes late. My name is Panish Karola, sir. My attendance, can you please take it?
Okay, at the end of the class you tell me. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we will be discussing about continuous probability distributions today. So what we have been doing was basically the discrete probability distributions. So here so we define a probability density function. Okay, so there is a variable x. The variable x can take values, continuous values. For example, say from minus infinity to infinity. So we can define a probability density function which is p of x for the variable x. So you cannot define a probability for a particular value of x, right? Because it is a continuous. So when you any point in that continuous, if you look at that, because if you want to specify that point with infinite precision, right? So because this is very continuous, so any probability for that particular point is not actually a good idea. Okay, because I don't want to get into the details, because the measure of that point will be actually in the continuous base will be a 0. So there is no point in talking about a probability for particular value, okay, in a continuous case. The discrete case, no problem, because each value you can find out, whatever we have done earlier for the number n, okay, we can find out actually the probability for that particular n. So here in the case of continuous case, each point is, because it is continuous, each point, the probability for each point does not make any importance. So what we have to do is find out a probability between the points x and x plus dx, or x minus dx and x plus dx. So that is what basically this one is. So PDF, probability density function. So P of x is, suppose that is the P of x is known. So what the probability, okay, to find, okay, the variable between x and x plus dx, that is basically P of x into dx. So P of x is the probability density function, and if I know the P of x, the probability to have the value between x and x plus dx is P of x into dx. For example, suppose a particle is moving in one dimension, okay, the x one dimensional line, and this is x. So the question is, what is the probability to find the particle between x and x plus dx? So if I know the probability density function P of x, then I can calculate P of x into dx. That will give you the probability to find the particle between x and x plus dx. So dx you can make it as small as possible. Okay, dx tends to 0. Not dx is equal to 0. So P of x is a probability density function. Yeah. So in this case, what are the values? Is there any restriction on P of x? Okay. Is there any necessary condition that P of x should be less than 1? Is it that required?
No.
It's not required. So what is required? Is P of x can be negative? Because P of x dx is a probability. Okay. So whether P of x can be negative.
Maybe, sir.
Because probability can't be negative. See, probability can't be negative. Okay.
Dx can dx be negative?
Dx, so that's what the definition is. C. Dx is a positive quantity. Okay. So x and x plus dx. So P of x should be greater than or equal to 0. Okay. So it can take any value greater than 0 or so it can also be 0, no issue. Okay. So any other condition? Can you think about? Integral minus infinity to infinity dx P of x should be equal to 1. So, it's the total probability, right. So, this is the total probability, that should be equal to 1. Any other condition? Yeah. So, so this total probability is 1, that is basically this one, and because this P of x dx gives you the probability, and considering dx is positive, so P of x should be greater than or equal to 0. Okay. So this is basically the probability density function. Now let us look at cumulative distribution function. So this is defined as f of x. So this, see, the random variable is x. The basically, because it is a continuous space, okay, the value you are getting is small x. Okay. So this actually denote the the random variable space, okay, the sample space. Okay. So here what you talk here is what is the probability to have the particle between 0 and x. Okay. So what is the probability to find the particles, or in general to have the random variable between 0 and x? What is the probability?
X by integral
No, so I am not defined the cumulative distribution function. I am just asking a question. What is the the probability density function is P of x. Okay. So what is the probability to have the variable between x0 and x?
px dx integral 0 to x.
Okay. So integral 0 to x dx prime P of x prime. Okay. So is this a function of x?
Yes, sir.
It's a function of x, right? So this is basically, so this you just call it as some g of, so this is a g of x. Okay. So what is this basically? Can you just now tell me what you calculated here? Okay.
Probability.
Probability.
Area under the.
Do not bring into the area. Okay. Okay. So let's talk in terms of the probability. Okay.
probability from 0 to x. We are integrating 0 to x.
0 to x. Okay, so it's basically there is a random variable x. Okay, so what is the probability to have a random variable between 0 and x? That particular random variable in between 0 and x. This is the basically the probability. Okay, so now I am asking a question: what is the probability to have a random variable x which is less than or equal to x? What will be this equal to? So,
Sir,
yeah,
sir, in the previous case, it was necessary that to write it px prime dx prime. If we write integration 0 to x px dx, then it can give the same value, I think.
if you integrate, so earlier we had written dx prime p of x prime. Okay, so what are you saying now?
0 to x. If I write it 0 to x dx px, then it is same.
So the problem is it is not a definite integral, right? Because this is going up to x. Okay, so it is you, because this is a function. See, this is a function. Okay, so p of x is a function. Okay, so usually when there is a definite integral, the integration variable you should use something other notation. Okay, so this x prime, so it can be x double prime. Okay, does not matter. Okay, it can be p of y. Okay, does not matter. Okay, so just to differentiate, because this all quantity should be a function of x. Okay, the all quantity should be a function of x because the one of the limit is x. Okay, so if it's not a good idea to use the same that variable here. Okay, because that is not usually recommended, because if it is some constant c1, no problem, you can use x because it's a definite integral. Okay, but the one of the this has become a variable, so you use some other variable. That's it. This is basically like when you have a summation. Okay, your n is equal to 1 to say capital N. Okay, so this inside you can have, suppose here again p of n, when you write, so it's a summed over this small n. Okay, so suppose this is capital N, you cannot use this is capital N is equal to 1 to infinity. Okay,
Yes.
okay, this basically now you understand the problem then. Okay, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So what is the probability to have the random variable which is less than or equal to x? Get the random variable less than or equal to x. What will be this equal to? What is the probability to have a random variable x which is less than or equal to the value x?
Minus infinity to x.
Minus infinity to
X.
x
Dx prime dx.
px prime dx prime. Okay, so this one is basically the cumulative, so this small variable only x because the function of x only. Okay, so the cumulative distribution function is defined as the probability to have the value less than or equal to x. Okay, so what will be yeah.
I'm not getting what is the x? It's a capital X and second one small x.
See capital X is the random variable actually. Capital X is the random variable. Like earlier we have been saying the random variable as n, right? In the case of the die, okay. So in the dice, so you have n, you can have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 6 numbers. So that is the sample space, and n is the random variable there. Okay. So the success or failure. Okay, in that case you define the random variable. So in the binomial distribution, what was the random variable? In the binomial distribution, what is the random variable? Yeah, n. What is that?
Either it is success or failure.
So
Number of
there is a capital N number of trials you are making. Each trial can have a success or failure. Okay. So what is n, small n? N is the
Number of successful trials.
number of success.
Trials. Yes.
Anybody?
Number of trials we get success.
Number of trials we get success. Binomial distribution, just, yeah, you just learned that yesterday, written the examination. Okay. So what was that when you were written P of n? What is this n basically?
So that denotes the event that we are looking for.
N is the event.
N number of trials.
Small n is the n number of trials. So there is a small n, there is a capital N.
Capital N is total number.
Capital N is the
Here
total.
there is a number. Sir, n is random trial, sir.
So small n is the number of successful trials.
Small n is the number of
Successful trials.
successful trials in total capital N trials.
Total
Capital.
N.
So you are making capital total N trials. So say N is 100 trials. Okay. N is 100 trials. So what is the small n is the number of success. Okay, in that capital N 100 equal to 100. For example, n is equal to 100. Okay. So this n can take values. What are the values n can take in that particular
Zero to capital N.
0 to capital N, right? That is why that is a sample space. So this n is the random variable. Okay, suppose you make capital N 100 trials, you can have this n either 0 or 1 or 100. Okay, so any number between 0 and 100, right? So that is the random variable. Okay, this number depends on the event you are doing or number of trials you are doing or when you are doing. So it can keep on varying, okay, because each of you can do the thing. So each of you will get a number of success different when you do capital N is equal to 100 trials. So that small n is because sample space is between 0 and 100, including 0 and 100, okay, you can get any value between 0 and 100. That is the sample space. That is the random. So any variable between 0 and 100 you can get when you do that trial. Okay. So that is the sample space. And that is the random variable. The n is the random variable. Now coming to this point. Now I am saying capital X is the random variable. Okay. The capital X sample space is basically minus infinity to infinity. So the x can take any value between minus infinity and infinity. So s can be 5, s can be 3, s can be 2. So this is the random variable. So now what is this small x? So small x is that particular value it is taking. Okay. So here so this is the random variable. So this x can be any value, right? So this probability, this means what? Suppose I fix x is equal to one specific value 100. Okay. What is the probability to get a random variable which is less than or equal to 100? So this x can be any number between, this capital X can be any number between minus infinity and 100. Okay. So this x is not the random variable. This is one specific value in that sample space. Okay. So this x is a random variable there. Fine. So when I said the probability density function p of x dx, okay, this x is a specific value for a given random variable x. So in that case, if you draw this, I have to say somewhere here x and x plus dx. So this x can be any value in this capital X from minus infinity to infinity. Suppose your domain is that. Okay. So yes, this small x can be any value in this random variable x. But now I want to specify, okay, for a given x and x plus dx, what is the probability to have the random variable between, so x and x plus ds, this x contains so many values. So that probability is p of x into dx. Okay. So is it clear now? What is small x and what is capital X?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So one more thing, sir, can we have the sample space finite, like here it's getting minus infinity to infinity?
Yeah. So that's what, you can have any domain, or there is no problem. The only thing is we are now talking about a continuous thing. So you can have a continuous domain from A to B, no problem. So then you have to, wherever you are writing in minus infinity, you have to replace with A, and so that is up to you. So you can fix that. Okay. Because see, there may be certain events. Okay. So can you just think about the x is continuous, okay, but the limit is not minus infinity and plus infinity.
It can be some length on a scale. Something moving on a scale, a definite part, 0 to 100, or in a 100-meter wave there is a person.
Yeah. So suppose there is a some scale or something, okay, and its length is actually flexible. Okay, its length is flexible because it can shrink and like take a spring. Okay, take a spring. So the minimum length is 0 and the maximum it can stretch is L. Okay, maximum it can stretch is L. So there your limit has become. So now the problem is the spring actually vibrates between 0 and L. It is completely random. Suppose it is completely random. Okay. Suppose you can devise something. So it is something I am just giving you. So something completely random, so that any time you look at the spring length is something, okay, which is completely random. But obviously there is an upper limit, there is a lower limit. Okay. Or you take a box, you put a particle inside. Okay. So particle can move. Okay. It's a closed container. It's a two-dimensional problem, so we can you can think about now two directions are there, x and y. Or if you restrict that on one dimension, only one dimensional problem still. So the movement of particle is completely probabilistic in nature. Okay. So but there is a x, minimum x and maximum x is limited. It's a classical particle we are talking about, not a quantum particle. Classical. So it can either move between 0 and x minimum and x max, also y minimum and y max. So what is the probability to find at, so now you have two random variables in this case, okay, a capital X and capital Y. Then capital X and capital Y can take any values, x can take any value between 0 and say this length is x Lx and this maximum is Ly. So the capital X can take any value between 0 and Lx and capital Y can take any values between 0 and Ly. So this x and y are the random variables and particular values are what it is taking. Okay. So it can be, it depends on what is the physical problem you are looking at. Okay. So I am defining it for a general range. Yeah. So now let us look at this cumulative distribution function, or simply some people just call it as a distribution function. Okay. So what will be f of 0? Is it possible to say anything?
We have to integrate minus.
Yeah, so that we cannot say anything right away. So what will be f of minus infinity?
0.
So 0.
0. What will be f of infinity?
1.
1.
1.
So this f of x, suppose you are plotting this f of x versus x. So what is the maximum value of f of x can take?
1.
Minimum?
0.
So f of x should be between 0 and 1. So the cumulative distribution function can't go beyond 1. But the probability density function p of x can be any value greater than 0. Okay. What will be the derivative of yeah?
Probability density function.
Probability density function. So now let us look at the moment generating function. So how do you find a general average? Because I have now p of x, which is the probability density function. So how do you find out the average of x if I have the probability density function p of x? Average of x will be equal to integral
Integration of px.
dx x px, right? So any x power n will be x power n. Any function of x, the average will be equal to minus infinity to infinity dx g of x p of x. This is the average of any function of that variable x. Okay. So moment generating function is defined as m of u, which is equal to e power ux. The average of e power ux. So what will be this equal to? As a summation. So e power ux, if you expand, what will you get? E power ux, when you expand, what are you going to get? Yeah. So obviously see the okay. So 1 plus
ux.
Okay, you are saying ux. Okay.
ux square ux to the whole square divided.
Okay. So there is some this is basically the average of the random variable x, no? Because the random variable is x, that you calculate using this. Okay. So this will be x only, capital X. Okay. So the next question is from this m of u moment generating function, how do you calculate the moments? So how are you going to calculate the moments? Because the second term is basically the u into the moment, the mean of that distribution, right? That random variable. So basically mean of x is nothing but you just put x here, right? The first one is basically will give you the total probability, that is 1, and second one is will give you u into the mean, that is basically the average. Then the third one is, if you do this, the s square, the second moment, so that is s square into p of x. So on. So this is total probability, this is the mean, this is the second moment into whatever some constant factor, and so on. So the question is, if I know m of u, can I calculate this each moments? So obviously from this equation you can see that this one I can write it down as m of u, I can write it as 1 plus summation n is equal to 1 to infinity u power n x power n divided by n factorial. So this is what basically m of u, right? And so what you can, how do you calculate average of? So obviously because there is an average here, so you have to put that average here, x power n. Because this u square and all constant, so if you have some constant into the random variable average, which is basically equal to a into average of x. Okay, so we basically we use that property to write down m of u in this form. So if I know this, from this I can actually write down average of x, average of x n as the nth derivative of m, nth derivative of m with respect to u, right, putting u equal to 0. So you calculate nth derivative of m, the moment generating function, and if you set u equal to 0, you get x, the average of x power n or nth moment. That is the reason it is called as the moment generating function. Okay. So for example, n is equal to 1, if you put, that means first derivative you have to take here. So if you take the first derivative, this is anyway 0, the first derivative n is equal to 1 to infinite, so you get this as a constant after first derivative, then average of x, n is equal to 1 factorial, plus all other terms will have the u terms. So when you set u equal to 0, only that term will exist here. So this is what you get as a nth moment using the moment generating function. So nth moment, so this x n is the nth moment of the random variable, right? Nth moment of random variable. So in the case of discrete distribution, you have seen that there is a factorial generating function which actually generate the factorial moment, right? N into n minus 1 up to n minus k plus 1, right? So you actually have this one from using a generating function which is defined as f of z. So the question is, so what was f of z? F of z was equal to, so what we defined in that case is f of z is equal to Pn for a in the case of discrete distribution, what we written was f of z is equal to Pn z power n. Okay. So the question is there any relation between f of z and m of u? So can I find a relation between f of z and m of u? F of z and m of u. Obviously, this is a discrete version of f of z. So you have to think about a continuous version of f of z. So for that, this should become an integral. So I'll give you 2 minutes to find out a relation between the generating function and the momentum generating function in the continuous case. Okay. So even actually you can do this for the discrete case. So in that case, m of u, what you done, you have to define accordingly. Okay. Because m of u is, so how did you define m of u? So m of u is nothing but average of e power u x. This is what m of u is. So in the case of discrete case, this x will become n, that is it. Okay. So just take a couple of minutes and find out a relation between f of z and m of u, the factorial generating function and the moment generating function. Okay, so in that case, obviously you have to define f of z in terms of, so what, see, this is in the discrete case, you defined the generating function f of z as integral, not integral, sorry, p of n z power n. So how do you define the generating function in the case of the continuous case? How will you define? Integration of p of x z power x, right, dx. So now you will be able to give me the relation between f of z and m of u. What is m of u? By definition, m of u is the average of e power u x, right?
Yes, sir.
So how will you write it as an integration? Integral p of x e power u x dx. Right? So this is the basically average of e power u x is this. Okay. So now can you find a relation between what is m of u in terms of f of z? If I put z is equal to e power u, I will get m of u. Okay. So m of u is equal to f of e power u. Any questions? Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, instead of this moment generating function, can we define only generating function of discrete case in this in this continuous basis?
So see, I can define f of z, which is dx e power, not e power, z power x, right? Z power x. Then what you get? P of x. This is f of z, right? In the continuous case, this is f of z. Why do you need m? That is your question, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The only thing is because from the directly f of z, how will you find out the nth moments? So nth moment means n moments of that random variable. How can I get that? I can get that. Okay. So how will you?
Differentiating as we have done in previous case.
You differentiate. Okay. But you get a factorial moments. Okay. You will not get nth moments directly.
Yes, sir. We get a factor.
You will get a factorial moment. Okay. So this relation is there. So if I know m of u, I can actually find out f. There is no issue. So you can actually go and do what is okay. I just want to talk about cumulative distribution also. Then after that, cumulative moments. Okay. So time. So the one question I want to say is means not the question I want to explain is what is the importance of these moments? Can anybody can tell me why you need these moments? First moment, second moment, third moment. What is the importance?
So they tell about the structure of the distribution.
Mm-hmm.
So like for the second moment, it can tell us the standard deviation. So I think.
Yeah. So okay. One is basically the variance and the relative fluctuation. All those things you can calculate if I know the these moments. Okay. So another thing is because this p of x, the probability density function. If I have that, I can calculate all the moments, right? If I know p of x, probability density function, I can calculate all the moments. Is that true? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right. So if I have p of x, I can calculate all moments. But experimentally in the lab, what you get? P of x or this?
We will get moment.
Yeah, because you may be measuring some variable. That variable's average you can calculate. That variable's second average means x square average you can calculate. For example, the length of something. Okay. So the length each time you measure so many times you can find out average, s square average, s cube average, and so on. Okay. So now the question is, because you don't measure, p of x is not the one you can go and measure from the lab. Okay. So this is the one you measure, each moment you can measure in the lab. So can I generate this probability density function using these moments? Obviously, if I know p of x, I can calculate all these things. Now the reverse question I am asking, if I know this, the particular problem you are handling, whether it corresponds to some probability density function. Okay, can I do that? Yes. For example, your marks. Okay, you are a first year because now you are as a small class, right? First year you have 150 students. Now you look at your marks, put it in the range 0 to 10 or 0 to 40, 40 means start from 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60. You put it in the histogram. Okay. So now you can find out the average of the marks of the class, the standard deviation, all those things you can find out. When the class become larger and larger, you can see that your distribution function, probability density function become a Gaussian distribution function. That I am going to teach you soon. Okay. So you can generate that because that is because in principle, any general distribution function, I need infinite moments to generate this. Okay. If I want to generate p of x, I should find out all the, in general, okay, all moments up to infinite moments of that variable. But for certain distribution functions, I don't need that. Maybe first and second moment can give you the directly whether that will be sufficient to find out p of x. Okay. But in general, so if I have n moments of the problem, I can calculate the probability density function. Okay. So there is so many things, because in the quantum mechanics also, in the lab what you are going to measure is some averages. From that you can understand what is the quantum system. Because there is an unknown quantum system, you don't know because quantum mechanically p of x itself is basically can directly related to that particular state of the quantum system. So it is a lot of implications, okay. So I don't want, maybe I'll talk later, because quantum mechanically the p of x is because the state and x, this square is the probability density function. So it is having a direct relation with the state in the quantum mechanics. So in the lab you may be measuring some average quantities, okay. So from that you can regenerate the quantum state, unknown quantum state, okay, or reconstruct the unknown quantum state. Okay, so I will stop now. We will start tomorrow the cumulative distribution function. Not cumulative, so that already we have done. We will calculate the cumulants, okay, cumulants of the random variables. Okay, so I will stop now.